Now, when we talk about red teaming, right, you might have heard this term. And every time we think about red teaming, that it is always like pen testing. Now, when we are talking about red teaming, so red teaming, I can say it is a comprehensive cybersecurity exercise where ethical hackers they simulate real-world cyber attacks to test the organization's defenses. Now, as a tester, my goal is to identify vulnerabilities and assess how well the organization can detect and respond to the sophisticated attacks. Right now, red team uses tactics, techniques, and procedures which are similar to those of actual attackers, but they do so ethically and with permission from the organization. So I used three terms, and it's written here also: tactics, techniques, and procedures. So how will you define these terms? What is a tactic? What is a technique? What is a procedure? So when we talk about tactics or techniques or procedures, right, they are used to describe the behavior of threat actors and they play a crucial role in cybersecurity. So this tactics, techniques, and procedures, first thing, the tactic, it refers to the overall objectives and goals of the attack, right? So they provide the information about why behind the attack, which outlines the end goals the attacker aims to achieve. Techniques are the general methods which are used to accomplish the tactics. So they describe the how part, that how it will be done, right? So techniques, these are what? These are specific methods or attack vectors that attackers employ to achieve their goals. So what are attack vectors? I use the term attack vectors. So attack vector is what? The pathway that or method used by the attacker to gain the access of the system, right? Then we have procedures. Now procedures are specific steps which are taken to carry out the techniques, right? So they detail what, right? So procedures will tell you about what will be done, right? Which outlines the particular actions and sequences the attacker will follow, right? That's your TTP, right? So as I said, red team uses tactics, techniques, and procedures similar to those of actual attackers, but they do it ethically with the permission of the organization. Now, when we talk about red teaming, how it is different from penetration testing. So when we talk about penetration testing, right? First thing, red teaming and penetration testing, they both have some similarities. They have some differences also, but many similarities. Now, when we talk about penetration testing, right? So it focuses on identifying vulnerabilities in specific systems or networks or applications. And our objective while doing pen testing is to find and exploit vulnerabilities and find out how far an attacker could penetrate, right? So penetration testing will be of, let's say, around 4 weeks, right? 3 weeks you will be doing the pen testing and 1 week you will be creating the report, right? Now, when we talk about red teaming, so red teaming is the comprehensive assessment of the entire organization security posture, like people, processes, the technology, right? And to test the organization's ability to detect and respond to advanced threats, right? So a red team assessment can go around 7 months, 8 months, or 9 months also, right? So aim of the red team is to remain undetected to simulate real world attacks more accurately. So it depends that when they will be detected, but if they are not detected, they can stay inside the systems for a very long period of time, right? Now pen testing on the other hand, it's a noisy process, as I said, Noisy means that everyone or security teams in the organization, they are aware of the testing, and it makes it stealthy, less stealthy, right? So there will be lots of logs generated, there will be lots of traffic generated, right? And people will be aware that pen testing is going on. And when we talk about red team assessment, in red team assessment, it takes like a lot of time and efforts. So we have to be stealthy. We have to use techniques which are not detected and which do not generate a lot of traffic, right? Let's say there is a Windows system which I found. In that Windows system, I will not check that if all out of 65,535 ports, how many ports are open, because it will send a lot of traffic. I will check some ports, like if 135 or 139 or 445 are up and running, because these are the ports which can be vulnerable from where I can get inside the system. So that is red team assessment, where you have to generate less traffic and go further, find out more vulnerabilities and stay inside the system for a longer period of time. Now, why red teaming is important? So when we talk about red teaming, as I said, pen testing is loud. It generates a lots of traffic, right? And we don't need a lot of traffic. We want to find out how attackers can get inside the organization by really not getting detected, right? Now, in penetration testing, non-technical attack vectors might be overlooked. Now, non-technical attack vectors means your social engineering. So, in penetration testing, until unless it is not asked you uh, that you have to do social engineering, you cannot do social engineering. But in red teaming, you can perform social engineering attacks. You can visit the organization, plug in a USB drive in one of the system, or you can try to call someone, get the passwords, impersonating as a IT person, right? So these things you can do in the red team assessment. The now this what it will show you, that what are the weak points if the human is the weak point of your organization, right? And relaxation of security mechanisms. So in penetration testing, basically what we do, if I'm asking you that you have to do a pen test of my organization, there are 100 PCs in my organization, right? So you have to test these 100 pieces. This is your scope. Second thing, what I will do is, there will be my network, there will be my router, right, and firewalls. So I will allow your IP address inside my network so that you can connect to my network, then you can start doing the testing, right? But in red team, no privilege is given, right? I'll not allow your IP address, I'll not give you any scope. I'm just saying that you have to find out how you can enter my organization, take the data, get the access of the devices, what you can do, right? So that is your red teaming. Now, by performing red teaming, first it improves your detection and response also, right? So by simulating a phishing attack, the red team will test the organization's ability to detect and respond to these types of threats promptly, right? Then it also enhances security awareness, isn't it? Yes. So employees, they will become more vigilant against social engineering attacks after experiencing a red team simulation, right? Then it also tests your incident response mechanism, right? So what I will do, being a red teamer, I will simulate a ransomware attack to assess how well the organization's incident response team handles the situation, right? Then it validates your security controls also, right? So it can test the effectiveness of security controls, like how your intrusion detection systems and access controls which you have implemented, how they are working, if they are working fine or not, right? If they are lacking something, right? And it provides you real world simulations, right? So I can use some techniques used by APTs, advanced persistent threats, right, to mimic a state sponsored cyber attack. A Daniel Grey hat hacker will be the person who will not ask for permission for doing the attack. In red team assessment, we ask for permission. Once the organization will give you the permission, then you will start doing the attack. But you will not have any information or the about the attack, right? About the target organization. Then what else red team assessment gives you? The gaps in security policies, right? So it can reveal weaknesses in security policies like inadequate password management practices, right? It can help you in strengthening your cyber defense strategy. So whatever insights from red team activities are there, it can inform and improve the organization's overall cybersecurity strategy, right? And it basically promotes a proactive security culture, right? So it fosters a culture of continuous improvement and vigilance within the organization, right? So that's why red teaming is crucial for organizations to proactively identify and address security weaknesses, enhance their defenses, and improve their overall resilience against cyber threats. So it's valuable investment in safeguarding the organization's assets and reputation, right? That's why we need red teaming. Now, when we are talking about red teaming, what can be the benefits? Now, when we talk about the benefits of red teaming can be applied to and provide benefits for a range of information processing and decision making tasks, right? And it can basically support effective thinking at different stages, right? Now, if you see here, there are some benefits written like information gathering, right? It makes sure that an information search or information environment scan is unbiased, as wide and encompasses as possible, and is not brought to a premature close. Now, when we talk about information gathering, this is the first step of like decision making process, right? And it is concerned with how the individual attends the to and make sense of the available information at the information collection stage, right? Now think of it, issues can arise if the individual misses something in the information search, either because they are directed to look in the wrong place or their search is too limited in some way, right? So there are different types of challenges that you get while information gathering, right? Either you are misguided by others, right? Now, clear direction about where to search for information and what is important can be useful. But problems can arise if this direction is incorrect and the individual feels compelled to follow the direction which is given, right? So, failure to challenge guidance, it can occur due to social pressures, either because the figure of authority has given the direction or others around the individual are complying with the direction given. Yes. Then other challenge can also be there, like you are doing limited information search, right? So a wide and exhaustive information search, it is very important to make sure that a full and comprehensive picture is obtained. Information will be missed if the information search is too narrow and in its focus, and it is brought to a premature closure, right? So rapid information search might be a suitable approach if time is short, right? However, regardless of whether there are certain time pressures, right, psychological biases, it can lead to less than efficient collection of information. Now, this phase in the decision making process, it is concerned with how an individual interprets or makes sense of the information that they have developed in the information gathering stage, right? Now, thinking at this stage is concerned with considering a range of issues, like whether the information is relevant, whether it is significant, or it is threatening or supportive, right? So issues can arise if the individual dismisses the information as irrelevant or insignificant, or conversely, incorrectly assesses it as important when it is not. Perfect. Now, when we talk about the challenges in sense making, there can be faulty risk perception, right? Now, what can be understood by faulty risk perception? Now, a key aspect of judgment about relevance, significance, or threat is the individual's perception of risk. So, a number of psychological mechanisms can affect the individual risk perception and thus frame how they assess the relevance, significance, or implications of a piece of information. Perfect. Now, in sense making, there can be other biases also, right? Uh, for the risk, like it can be ambiguity effect, right? Ambiguity effect means a tendency to avoid options where the likelihood of a good outcome is not known, right? Then it can be base rate neglect, right? So base rate neglect means a tendency to focus on case specific data and give insufficient consideration to the background information or the base rate, right? Then there can be conjunction fallacy, right? Now, conjunction fallacy means a tendency to assess that a more specific situation is more likely to happen than a more general situation, right? Then, zero risk bias, right? A preference for completely eliminating a small risk rather than partially mitigating a larger risk. Then we have decision taking. Now, making process is it is concerned with how an individual reaches a conclusion or judgment based on the information that has been processed in the earlier diagnostic phase, right? Now, thinking at this stage is related to developing a strategy or approach for solving the problem or responding to the situation, right? Now, problem issues can arise if the individual uses inappropriate analogies to aid problem solving or is not sufficiently flexible in their thinking, and so that person draws the wrong conclusions, right? That's what, that's decision taking process, right? So red teaming, it helps you in decision taking, it betters your decision taking, right? And then the next thing we have is planning, right? Now, planning involves checking that the analysis and planning outcomes are robust and fit for the purpose, right? Now, problem issues can arise at this stage if the individual or team fails to think things through in sufficient detail or consider critical factors that affect the plan, like biggest factor, overconfidence, right? So, a significant problem that can occur when an individual or team is developing a plan of action is an overly optimistic assessment of the likelihood of success. So, overconfidence in the plan could be based on the successful past experience, right? wishful thinking or an overinflated view of the individual's or team's competence or ability to affect the situation, a tendency towards optimism can bring about this overconfidence, right? So that is your these are the benefits of your red teaming. Next, we have is teams and functions of an engagement. So when we talk about teams and functions of an engagement, we have red cell, blue cell, white cell, or red team, blue team, white team. Yes. Now, when we talk about, we are talking about the offensive side, red cell, right? So, red cell is the component that makes up the offensive portion of a red team engagement that simulates a given target's strategic and tactical responses, right? Blue cell is the opposite of the red. It includes all the components defending a target network, right? Now, the blue cell is typically comprised of blue team members, the defenders, internal staff, and organization's management, right? And then we have white cell. Now, white cell, it serves as a referee between red cell activities and blue cell responses during an engagement. So it controls the engagement environment or network, right? It monitors adherence to the uh, uh, rules of engagement, right? It coordinates activities required to achieve engagement goals, right? It correlates red cell activities with defensive actions, and it ensures the engagement is conducted without bias to either side. Now we have red cell lead or red team lead, right? So red team lead person, what he does, w- that person will plan and organize engagements at a high level, right? Delegates assistant lead and operators engagement assignments, right? Then we have assistant lead. So assistant lead will assist the team lead in overseeing engagement operations and operators, and can also assist in writing engagement plans and documentations if needed. Then we have red team or red cell operator. So red team operator will execute assignments which are delegated by the team leads. They will interpret and analyze engagement plans from the team leads. Then next thing that we have is red team attack life cycle. Is it looking a bit different from the phases of penetration testing? Now, here if you see, we start with the recon part. Now, what is reconnaissance? Reconnaissance means that I am doing information gathering. From where I will gather the information about the target. Great. So, first thing that we use is OSINT, right? OSINT means we have open source intelligence. Open source intelligence means the information which is available over the internet. Now, there are many websites, many tools which will give you the information about the web applications, right? Or uh, about the organizations, right? So for that, we have a framework which is called OSINT framework, right? This is your OSINT framework. Whatever information you want to find out, you can find from here, right? Let's say uh, you want to find out information about domain name, right? So there are lots of report malicious sites. So in Microsoft and Google, you can report, right? The tools for gathering the information, online Nikto scanner, international domain name conversion tool, burp suite, right? Bellati, Black Widow, right? Lots of tools. Then if you want to do certificate search for any domain, so these are the places where you can go for. right? You want to find out the subdomains of the organization. These are the websites and tools that you can use, right? You want to find out business records? Yes. The annual reports, general information and news about the organizations. This is the place where you can go and check. Then you want to find out information from dark web. So you can use these directories, web proxy, Tor to web, right? You want to do Tor search. So onion cab, onion link, candle, not evil, Tor 666, Amia, and dark.fail. The clients, Tor download, free to net, and I2P, right? Any information like any of the tool you can download and start using the Tor browser, the dark web, right? If you want to find out the public records, that is also given, right? US political records, patent records, US birth records, property records, government records, right? Many of the places, many of the websites available for gathering the information, right? The AI tools that you want to use, Worm GPT-6, Chat GPT, right? So this is a framework which you can use to gather the information about anything. So let's say I want to gather the information about any organization. So I can go to different websites. Let's say I'm looking for Netcraft. Now there is a site report option. Here if I give any organization and look up, let's see what it gives. So it gives you the information about InfoSec train, right? NetBlock owner, Amazon Data Services India, domain infosectrain.com, name server is ns37.domaincontrol.com, right? IPv4 autonomous systems, AS16509, right? Then IPv4 address, right? So these are the IP addresses. You are also getting the IP addresses, right? Then uh, it's giving you information about cloud that this organization is using Amazon Web Services cloud computing, right? Then if I see this HTTPS site report, let's see if it gives something new to us. So information about the registration period and everything. Yeah. So common name, organization, state, country, organizational unit, source, right? And lots of information, right? Then if you can see, we are learning offensive security, right? If I go to the website of OffSec, right? This is the website, right? Now, if I want to find out that this web application, what technologies were used to build this web application. So I have a extension. Now that extension goes by the name Webalizer. Have you heard about it? So Webalizer is a tool which helps you in finding out the technologies behind any web application, right? At the top right, can you see that it is there is a symbol on my browser where 32 is written. Now this is I'm using Webalizer as an extension. You can directly go to the web application. You can search on Google Webalizer and you can go to its web application also. But here, if you see, Facebook there for analytics, this web application is using Facebook Pixel 2.9.180, Google Analytics, GA4, Hotjar, HubSpot Analytics, LinkedIn Insight Tag, Plausible. For advertising, Reddit ads, Twitter ads. Database is MySQL, CMS, content management system is WordPress, right? Payment processors is Stripe, blogs on WordPress, tag managers, Google Tag Managers, live chat, HubSpot, JavaScript frameworks which are being used, video players, static site generators, Astro, right? JavaScript libraries that they have used in the code, Core.js, Goober, and Light YouTube embed. Miscellaneous HTTP2, it's working. Open Graph, it is using. Reverse proxies, it has Nginx, right? UI frameworks, Tailwind, CSS, and web server is also Nginx. So that means they are running Apache server behind Nginx, right? And lots of more information, right? So this is how you can find out which technologies are behind this organization. And once you have found that which technologies are there, maybe they are using some libraries or they are using some devices or the versions of the libraries which are vulnerable. It can happen, right? Or which are old. So you can find out the vulnerabilities and exploit those vulnerabilities really well. Let's say I want to find out information about the subdomains, right? What subdomains are there, right? And I want to do the information gathering about the DNS records, right? So let's say what we can do. Let's say I want to find out information about Tesla.com. So here, if you see, it's giving a lot of information about Tesla.com, and here in the format of a graph, it's giving me maximum of subdomains of Tesla, right? VPN1 Tesla.com, right? PTR9437.tesla.com, PTR1 monitoring.tesla.com, model3.tesla.com, right? So sometimes whenever you are finding out vulnerabilities, you are doing assessment, the vulnerabilities are not directly present in the web application, but sometimes they are present in the subdomain. So we have to look for subdomains also. So the information that you're looking for, if you search for the name of the organization directly here, you're getting many things like the LinkedIn and many things, right? And there is an account, an Instagram account, right, of a person who is working in the organization, right? Passionate relational factor analyst working at Avil Corp LLC, right? If you open this image, right? So there you can see in the image, when she uploaded the image, she also uploaded her identity card, which has a barcode. Now you can create a same barcode if you are entering inside the organization, you can impersonate as that person, you can punch your barcode to the barcode reader and you will be in, right? So many times it's not the organization, but it's about the employees who basically reveal the information over the internet, and it makes it easier for the attackers to perform the attack, right? That is information gathering. Next thing that we have is initial compromise, right? We call it initial access also. So after gathering the information about the target organization to identify potential attack vectors, right? What you will do, you will collect data information about the employees, right? Network infrastructure, security measures, publicly available information. You will use social media or public records, right, to identify their information and their roles, right? Then you will do initial access. Now, initial access means gain entry into the target network, right? You will be exploiting the vulnerabilities, right? If you have found any vulnerabilities, or you will use phishing, right? You will perform phishing attacks, or you will take help of the stolen credentials if you have found in reconnaissance phase, right? Either you can also send a spear phishing email to an employee to gain their access to the account, right? Then you will establish persistence. So when we talk about establish persistence, so secure a persistent presence within the network, right? For establishing the persistent, what we do, uh, like let's say, if I talk about initial compromise, what we are doing in that, in the initial compromise, we are getting inside the network. We got the access of the network, right? Yes or no? Now it can be the access to one system of the network also. So in initial compromise, what we are doing, we are getting the access of one system. What I want to do, I want to do expansion, right? I don't want to stay inside one system of the organization. I want to expand my access, right? I want access of multiple systems. Then I want to move to the critical servers. That's my way of doing things. That's what I want to do exactly, right? Now when we are talking about that, so for it we have to establish the persistent, right? Let's take an example. I took initial compromise because I tried default credentials of RDP of a system, and the default credentials were admin and admin, right? So through RDP, right now I'm connected to the system. But what if the user changes the password? This can happen, right? The next day user can change the password. Then what will do? There will be a problem. Then I have to do reconnaissance again. I have to see the results and everything. So for safeguarding myself from that, what I will do, I will install malwares, right? Or backdoors. I will deploy a remote access Trojan to maintain access. If initial entry point is closed, then I will have a different path or different way to connect to that system, right? After I have installed the backdoor, so I have a different way, a second way of connecting to the system. Then I will try to escalate my privileges. If I get the normal access of the system, I will try to become root user. If I already have root system privileges, then I will gain higher level access, access to sensitive systems or sensitive data, right? So exploiting system vulnerabilities or misconfigurations to elevate the privileges, right? I will exploit a known vulnerability in the application, right? To gain administrative access, right? Once I have done that, once I have increased my privileges, then I will again do reconnaissance. Now, this is called internal reconnaissance. Whatever reconnaissance I have done before, that is the reconnaissance which we do for starting the attack for the starters, right? But here I want to understand the whole network now in which I'm in, right? So I will gather more and more information. I will do the scanning. I will find out what all devices are there, what all open ports are there, and then I will come to a conclusion that what how we will move forward, right? But for that we have to do internal reconnaissance. Yes. Now after internal reconnaissance, we will do lateral movement. Now what is lateral movement? Lateral movement means move within the network to access additional systems and data, right? So using the stolen credentials or by exploiting the trust relationships or leveraging internal network protocols, right? I will laterally move to different devices in the network, right? Then once you are moving from one system to another, you should know where to move, right? How you will reach to the critical servers, right? So if there are 100 devices, you will not take access of every single 100 device in that, right? You will have to find the shortest path that will take you to the server, So data analysis is very important in here, right? So you will have to identify the valuable assets, you will have to identify the sensitive information, you will scan for the network, search for the files, you will map out the network topology. Now after mapping out the network topology, you will find out how you will reach the target, right? And that is the most critical step which we take whenever we are working with red team, right? So whenever we are doing red team assessment, right? Now let me show you a very nice structure, that how it will look like, and from the perspective of an attacker, how I can reach the target. So that should be that those things, whenever we do, we generate graphs for that, and those graphs, we can query those graphs, and those graphs will give me the information that about how you can reach the critical directories, or basically the critical servers, right, and take the access of the server. So so if you see here, we have domain admins administrator. I already have data uploaded on this tool. The name of this tool is Bloodhound, which is used for enumeration. And uh, let's say I want to find shortest path to domain admins. So it gave me a graph. It generated a graph, right? So how you can reach the domain admins directly, right? What permissions you have, add key credential link, right? Contains. This is for an active directory, right? Member of, which users are there, right? Authenticated users, interactive. So now here you have to check. Let's say I'm sitting here, right? I have the access of MS SQL service, right? Or this is me, right? There is a user Mukesh, alka.mukesh, right? I got the access of that user, right? Once I got the access of that user, I moved, and where I have to move, that we have to find out, right? And how we will get to the admin directly, right? So this is where I want to reach, right? So this is how you generate a graph. You find out what privileges they have, and through by abusing which privileges you will be able to get the access of the system. So that's what you do in data analysis, right? You will analyze the whole information which you have captured, right? After this, what you will do, if needed, you will establish the persistence again. Then you will escalate the privileges, internal recon again, lateral movement again, and data analysis again. And then if you reach the target, right? If you have reached the target where you wanted to reach, like let's say you became the admin, right? You got the access of the admin user. Then you will exfiltrate the data and you will complete the mission, right? After exfiltrating the data, what you will do? You will make sure that there is in continued access to the network for future operations. You will create additional backdoors, you will update malware, you will cover your tracks, right? And you will also erase the evidence of the attack to avoid the detection. You will delete the logs, modify the timestamps, right? And you will use all the anti-forensics techniques, right? And after that, there will happen reporting, right? Reporting and debriefing, right? So you will provide a detailed report of the findings and recommendations for improvement, right? Documenting the attack process, vulnerabilities exploited, and suggesting remediation steps, right? Then creating a comprehensive report with recommendations for strengthening the security measures. So this life cycle, it helps the red team simulate realistic attacks and provide organization with valuable insights into their security posture, which enables them to improve their defenses and the response strategies. Overview of red team engagement. So DNS dumpster is what? It is a website, right? Which basically helps you in finding out the DNS records. Like we have A records, right? MX records, right? We have different types of subdomains, right? So it will help you in finding out the information about the subdomains, the A records, MX records of the organization, right? By looking into that, so you will find out that what all information is there, or what all subdomains are there. Then you will scan those subdomains for further exploitation, or for the finding out the vulnerabilities, right? Now when we are talking about red team engagement, right? So red team engagement is a very huge thing, right? So what we do in red team engagement, right? There should be a competition in cybersecurity, right? So we have to give the red and blue team training, right? So in the rapidly evolving landscape of contemporary cybersecurity, the concept of red team and blue team training, it has emerged as a strategic imperative in bolstering the digital defenses, right? So red and blue team training, it represents a dynamic paradigm in cybersecurity preparation, right? So in a simulation based approach, it mirrors the real world conflict scenarios, right? By offensive red teams against the defensive blue teams, right? So the red teams, which we call adversarial entities, they orchestrate sophisticated attacks to exploit vulnerabilities, while the blue teams, they ardently safeguard digital assets by detecting, countering, and neutralizing the incursions, right? And this type of immersive training methodology, it transcends theoretical instruction, which offers a hands-on platform where participants, they engage in high stakes adversarial competition, right? So it happens, it's not like CTF, but it is like a real world kind of attack where the red teams and blue teams, they are practicing, right? So this training stands as a formidable entity, and it strengthens the fortifications of digital defenses. That's your overview of red team engagement. That's what we do, right? In the red team engagements.